Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Meat Banana devlog. This week we're going over optics, everything I've been working on, and how these are actually better than Anton optics. So, let me address the elephant in the room. Meat, where's ModulOptics? Well, as I'll explain, I have to get through optics before I can return to Glock. So, with that being said, let's talk about our first sight here, the Trijicon RMR Type 2. So I've updated to Anton's RMR attachment type, so now you can mount these on all of Anton's pistols. Now, right now, Glock is running on the old attachment type, so I need to update every single slide that can accept an RMR. That's part of why I can't move forward until I finish all of my optics to ensure compatibility between every optic and every slide. So, with that being said, let's talk about some of the features and upgrades that I've made to optics. As you can see, we actually have a little bit of this kind of lens emitter reflection going on the inside of the optic body here. That's some shader magic that I've been working on here, and so it kind of fades out a little bit when you're in the dark and is a bit more prominent when you're in the light. Talking about some additional updates to the optics, as you can see there's some tinting on this glass, but it's emitter relative, so you can see that the blue tint gets a little bit less intense the closer to the emitter you look. Nifty stuff from Ole. He helped out with some of the shaders on this because I asked very nicely, and he is very cool. Thank you, Ole. So, what else is new? We can control the brightness from physical buttons on the side of the optic, and we can turn it down and crank it up. Fantastic. Let's breeze through some of the other options here. All of my pistol dots are going to be zeroed for 25. Rifle are going to be 50, unless, otherwise they come from the factory with 100 meter zero. So, we've got 8 levels of illumination with 2 night vision settings. We also have a 1 MOA, 3.25, and 6.5 MOA dot on this Trijicon. Boom. But, of course, that's not all. Let me rip this off here and throw this in the module workshop. We can see that we have receiver skins, so we can change this on the fly. And we also now have mounts as a modular option for these optics. Now, I do have a direct modded mount. This is to ensure backwards compatibility with all old modded pistols and weapons that used the modded RMR attachment type. So no need for everybody to backport and update their old mods. We've got a couple offset mounts here. Couple low profiles. We've got the scalar works in 1.57 and 1.93 height. I've gone through and as I'm working on all of these optics, I'm ensuring that the optical height is correct. We also have a couple of Reptilia mounts in black and FDE, a few Trijicon mounts here as well, along with the Unity Fast MRDS mount. This brings it up to 2.26 inches, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So, let's move on to the ACRO P1, another pistol optic here. Now, this is not compatible with RMR, and it has several mounts of its own. We can cruise through those real quick. The Arisaka mount, one of which is broken. I need to fix that. A couple B&T QD mounts. Again, scalar works is going to be consistent throughout almost every optic type here. Now, here's the interesting one. We've got an MRDS adapter plate. This lets me put this ACRO sight on any MRDS type mount that we have. So I can now, through the adapter plate, put this on a direct mount plate and boom, attach an ACRO to any of Anton's optics. very cool. Yeah, let's take a quick look at the ACRO P1 sight picture here. It is tight, definitely. But we've got physical buttons on the side, and we can, of course, adjust the brightness and all that fun stuff. Tinting's a little bit less aggressive on the P1 compared to the RMR. Taking a look at the ACRO P2, much the same, just with a slightly different sight picture. Slightly larger window here, and I would say about the same level of tint. This does get brighter than the P1. Still moving on, the Steiner MPS. This also comes in, FDE, and has several mounts available for it. It's also ACRO pattern, so it gets access to all of those mounts. And if we throw this on here, this is a wacky one, because the emitter is actually up here at the top. So from the very faint tinting that the MPS has, you can see that it's actually essentially upside down compared to the ACRO. Pretty wide open window, surprisingly decent optic. Moving on into, I guess what we can call rifle optics. We have the Trijicon MRO series. We're going to pull out our trusty MCX here, and we'll go through all of these MRO sights. So we have the original, is this the original MRO here? No, this is, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here is the original MRO. It is a piece of junk sight with extremely strong tinting. Kind of a, it's really not that great of a reticle. It's a little bit blurry. Odd thing about the MRO, it has an offsetting in between its night vision and then daylight bright settings. This is not a great sight, and was superseded by the MRO HD, which, as you can see, has far less tint and a better reticle. Now, it's not perfect, as we'll see as I look up into the bright light here. You can see that there's a really aggressive reflection of the emitter, and as I look down and away from that light, it gets a little bit better. However, it is brightness sensitive, so if I crank the brightness, you can see the whole emitter diode there in the reflection. Again, thanks to Ole for this wacky, wild script. Now, why does this have such a emitter reflection? That is because it has a pretty brilliant, actually, 68 MOA circle dot. If we turn down the brightness just a little bit, it gets a little bit crisper there. Really nice. I am quite a fan of this, especially when we put it behind a Trijicon 3x magnifier. There we go. Now, the the eye box of the Trijicon 3x is pretty tight, but it actually has a pretty decent image, in my opinion. Now, this uses my version of flipping to the side compared to Anton, so you have complete control over how fast or how slow you want to move it to the side. So, the MRO HD was also superseded by the MRO SD, which has an even tighter window, which is to account for, by all accounts, actually pretty terrible parallax. Let's see if we can really highlight that here. So if we get this just off axis quite a bit, it's pulling a couple inches to the left there. It's not great. At distance, this is a very difficult sight to use if you're not perfectly aligned. Now, what also makes the SD special is that it has a green reticle option, and it has an FDE skin available for it. Now, the MRO across all of these also has an anti-reflection device available for it, just kind of taking advantage of Module Workshop and all of the parts that I can slap on these things. Let's also go through the MRO mounts as my body fails me and starts creaking and groaning. We've got a couple of Geisele mounts here in black and FDE, of course. A couple heights, the ScalarWorks Leap mounts, of course. These pretty funny little SLR mounts. I like them. They're just sticky and twiggy, and they just raise that optic. What else do we have? A couple Trijicon mounts here, both full co-witness and lower third. Trijicon QR mount and a Unity tactical MRO mount. That also brings it up to 2.26 inches. Pretty comfortable optic height and a pretty neat looking mount too. So that's the SD. Not perfect by any means, but a nice sharp dot. So let's get into some of the cool stuff, and that is the EOTech series and the holographic optic system. So we have so far the XPS2, XPS3, and EXPS3. Holy crap, let's get into it. So the EOTech XPS2 is a full co-witness height optic. So that means if we were running irons, it would be a perfect co-witness. Let's spawn some irons here. And let's demonstrate. Boom. So now when we get our iron sight optic picture, our sight is lined up right through that. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that on the MCX, but let's go through the features of the XPS2. We do have brightness options here. We can turn it off completely. This is our lowest daylight setting. And the EOTech has just so many brightness options, 20 daylight in total. So if you can't find the right brightness setting for you, run irons. Let's see here. So that's the XPS2. We do have the EOTech G33 mount here. Now, with its 7mm riser here, it's just a little bit tall. So let me take this magnifier and throw it in the workshop. Of course, we have skins available for it, but we also have various mounts. We can take off that riser to fit this full co-witness properly. We've got the super caggy Wilcox flip mount, and with its riser as well, available in black and tactical FDE, and of course the infamous Unity Fast flip to center mount. Now, you can see I've got a testing cube here. I discovered a bug when you turn an optical sight upside down. With parallax enabled, it actually moves your sight picture, so that's what that was, just a little testing remnant. Let's go ahead and just equip this without its riser. There we go. The G33 is a little bit more forgiving than the Trijicon. Really nice experience. Sweet. Let's go ahead and discuss its features. Really, it just has several skins available to it. The FDE, olive drab, gray, and then the super 2012 cringy XPS2 zombie stopper. Now the the XPS2 has a couple of reticle options, red and green, but specifically I want to talk about the 3-Z biohazard reticle. It's a 65 MOA inner ring, and who knows what the MOA circle is of the actual biohazard. Now this has some special features. If we turn off the lights, you can see it is glow in the dark, and there's all sorts of spooky little texture secrets in there. This was really fun to texture, very difficult, but I think well worth the cringy effort. And that is just a gigantic reticle. Takes up the entire G33. Alright, that's enough about the XPS2. Let's talk about the XPS3. Much the same in all of its daylight brightness settings. However, if we turn off the lights again and activate night vision, we can see, holy crap, that's way too bright. I'm blowing out my tubes. I can click the NV button and we toggle automatically to night vision setting 4. There are 10 night vision settings from its very, very, very lowest to a reasonable, almost daylight bright setting 10. So the NV button is super cool. It remembers the last setting you were on in either daylight or oops, I'm out of ammo. It remembers your last daylight and night vision setting. So with a click of a button, you can return to exactly where you were. The XPS3 does not have the wacky zombie skin, just FDE, olive drab, and gray. Quite a fan of the olive drab, that looks good. And it also has a couple reticle options. The relatively rare, actually, 3-1 sight. If we turn up our brightness, that gets a bit more visible. It's a 1 MOA dot, so super tight. The classic donut of death, the 2-dot 3-2, and then the 3-4, which is really only digestible as a reticle under magnification. Anyways, so that is all of the fun and features of the XPS2. Let's talk about the eXPS3. This has a slightly raised lower third. So if we're just barely able to align our irons there, I think these might even be a bit low compared to like an AR-15. Anyways, we've got all the same reticles as the XPS3. However, we're going to have to adjust our magnifier here to properly match the height of the eXPS3. There we go, with our little riser. All the same daylight and brightness settings. We've got buttons. We can control this from the side of the optic directly. No need to go into the interface. It also has an NV button to toggle between your modes. However, this also has some interesting mounts to it. I did not know this, but you can remove the QD mount and install the ScalarWorks Leap 12 mount. This raises the EOTech to 2.26 inches, and it's a really bizarre look, but I kind of like it. As you can see, there's two screw holes there. If we take our magnifier, we can attach it directly to the Leap 12. There's a little appear on attach Picatinny section there, and we actually need to again remove the riser on this. Let's install the Wilcox. There we go. It's a very unorthodox way to run the eXPS3, but I guess it works for some. I, however, prefer to run it without a magnifier on this very odd kind of gooseneck looking mount. So let's go ahead and return to our QD mount, which has an FDE skin, along with our FDE finish there for the rest of the optic. We also have the Wilcox. It's a 0.41 inch riser. EOTech mounts directly at the front, and then this is designed for the Wilcox mount with the riser. Mounts directly behind the EOTech there, and then actually that last Picatinny slot is for something like a KAC micro iron. We'll be doing no such thing here, just running the optic and magnifier. Let's go ahead and change the the skin. Let's get super FDE in here. There we go. Flip to side. I will be making a left side mount for each of the flip to sides, so you lefties out there don't have to swing this into your field of view. Anyways, that is just about everything here. Let's go ahead. We'll put that Leap 12 mount back on here, and then, goodness gracious, there's so many mounts. Boop, 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 boop. Let's switch back to the Unity Fast, the iconic flip to center mount for the EOTech. And so the whole reason I've been bringing up this 2.26 optical height this whole time, and that is for compatibility with the Unity Fast magnifier. So if we attach the MRO, boom, flip to center, that dot's perfectly centered right there, and it's not in the way. Same thing with the RMR. Although the RMR is it's a short little optic, so you can still kind of see the frame there. But anyways, that's the whole point. Tactical coolness with no end in sight. So that is everything optics I've been working on so far. There's so much to do. There's still so many optics to bring into here. I don't even have the Aimpoint T2 in here yet. That's going to have its own array of mounts. Everything that was in the old Red Dots mod is going to be in this one. With any luck, I can finish, probably an optic a day if I'm really cooking. So anyways, that's everything for Red Dots. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite of today was down in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.